Today, I'll be answering some of your burning questions. Earlier this week, I asked, any questions you have about the VW Polo GTI, drop it below or wanna do a Q&A. And we have questions. Some of them I might have missed. You can let me know in the comment section and I'll answer truthfully. But let's get into what you guys want to know about the VW Polo GTI.
Would I recommend the GTI as a first car? I actually don't know. It depends, actually. I've gotten this question a lot lately. It kind of depends. The thing about buying a performance car is once you buy that first performance car, the next car that you're going to get is probably going to be more powerful than the car that you had before. Take your Mr. How Much, for instance. He got an i30, he went to a 240. Take your Peace Ndlovu. He had a GTI, he went to an RS3. So, as a first car, it's kind of a hard sell, to be honest. But if you have the money, then you know what, you do what you want to do with your money. I'm not going to tell you what you want to do for your money. But for me, I think it was best that I started with the Polo TSI and then I gradually went up to the Polo GTI. But as a first car, in terms of maintenance, service, everything, you should be fine with the car. You won't really feel like you dug yourself into a hole. Now, provided you do have the money to afford the car and you can pay for it monthly and anything that arises, you'll be able to pay for it, then yeah, it's a good first car. I'm here to deliver the long-awaited stuff that I hate about the Polo GTI. I think I've praised this car enough. I'm going to go around the car talking about stuff that I think VW dropped the ball on. You guys know that I always praise this car. It's fun, it's better than other cars, whatever. But where does it lack? What does it fall short on? What do I absolutely hate and makes no sense from VW about the Polo GTI? Whether it's the facelift, whether it's the previous model, what doesn't make sense with this car? I have maybe 3 or 4 things that I want to talk about. If you do have something as well, just drop it in the comment section. If you have a Polo GTI and you want to say something about it specifically on this video, drop a comment below so that we can know what is on your minds.
Give a breakdown of your running costs, including service costs if you are out of service, general wear and tear, and most importantly, what's your body count?
That's a weird question to ask. But to answer your other questions, I am out of service. When I bought this car, I think I extended it for 2 service plans. But the thing is, I drive this car a lot. So for me, it doesn't make sense to add a service plan onto the car. So I'd rather pay out of pocket. Else I'll just be adding more and more money on top of my repayments each and every month. So for minor service, last time I had a minor service, I paid 2,300. That was for everything around the minor service. And I recently did a major service and that cost me 20,000 rands to...
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I'm in Cape Town. Prices are more expensive in Cape Town. So if you go to a dealership in Cape Town, expect to pay more prices than if you are in Mpumalanga or Johannesburg or wherever you are. So the service itself costs 7,500, and moving on to the change of the gearbox oil, I think that was around 6,000 something, and the timing belt, I don't know how that amounted to, but I'll post a screenshot of how much it was when I did the invoice of that service. So it all amounted to, including VAT, all amounted to close to 20,000. So I paid for that out of pocket, which was a lot. I'm still crying and I'm still trying to heal from that, but hey, what can you do? So that's what I paid for that. And day-to-day running costs, you don't really need to do anything with this car wear and tear wise. You have your wipers, which you can obviously get from Volkswagen. You can get Bosch from Volkswagen for way cheap. And the one running cost that I'll have to change soon is my tires. I was supposed to have a deal with another brand, which I'm not going to mention, but it fell through because what they were giving me and what I was giving them didn't just make sense. So I decided to scratch the entire thing. So we're not doing that. I have to buy my own tires. That's the running cost for this car that I'll have to do currently. And that will cost me upwards of, if I go cheap, I can pay 6,000. if I go the Michelin route, I can go upwards of 12,000, 15,000 to pay for that. So running costs, quite steep. The first thing I want to talk about where VW completely dropped the ball, and you can already see it, it just looks out of place. I wonder whose bright idea it was to put on halogens instead of LEDs on the bottom. They've since fixed this on the facelift. Obviously it comes with LEDs at the bottom. If there's one thing I'm going to change about this car, I have to put LEDs at the bottom. I know someone who sells them at a good price and they look good. They don't obstruct oncoming traffic, so they are perfect. I'm gonna get those and then replace them because I hate those halogens. Whoever's bright idea this was at Volkswagen, no, you fumbled. This was absolutely horrendous. But there's some other people who might say it looks beautiful. I don't know who those people are. There's some other people who might say they were saving costs, but listen, this is the top of the trim, which I will get to that point a bit later. But yeah, that was a definite no.
Oh, this is a good one. Are you careful on tuning your GTI?
Am I planning on tuning the GTI? Okay, so currently I have a warranty on the car, which is supposed to end, I think, around June or September. I am thinking about getting an exhaust on the car, but I don't want to. I am thinking about getting an exhaust in the car and then getting a warranty after getting the exhaust. But really, I'm happy with the car, man. Everything has been fine. Everything has been smooth. I haven't been thinking about doing anything to the car. So let's say I am thinking about it, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna pull the trigger. It will depend. Now, coming around the car and towards, well, the back actually, we have a boot. So this car is basically the same structure as the TSI, so it's a bit lowered, it has better springs, whatever. The TSI has a 1 liter in front, which on this car it was upgraded. Obviously the TSI is a 3-cylinder, this is a 4-cylinder. You have your air intake over there, you have your computer box right there, so there's no space for a battery. So they decided to take the battery away from here and they decided to put it at the back. So that is my armchair, because I'm old at this point. I need to sit down like every 2 seconds. That's why I have that at the back. But away from that, this is the space, and you can't, like on the TSI, move this lower so that you can get bigger space. And the reason for that is because, as a lot of you would have known, there's a spare wheel and a battery beneath that. Since the battery didn't fit in front, they managed to put it at the back.
How old is it to you?
How old is it? I bought the car, I think it was 2023 April or May. Actually, I have to do a 2-year update on the car soon. So to me, it's 2 years old, and it's a 2021 model, the last of its kind before the facelift. So to itself, I think it's 5 years now.
What about the hijackings? Is it selling?
Okay, around hijacking, right? I would say I'm in Cape Town, first of all. Well, right now I'm in Somerset West, and the background over there, that is Gordon's Bay, Strandside, right? This place is not as bad with crime compared to the rest of Cape Town, right? I mean, there is crime. I'm not gonna say there's no crime, but I wouldn't be doing this in Khayelitsha, or I wouldn't be doing this in other places around Cape Town except for here. I'm comfortable with this place. I can set up the cameras. I'm fine with them. There's people passing around. I'm no way thinking that someone's gonna come and take my phone or take my GoPro and run away with it, right? But if you are in Johannesburg, now that's sort of a different one, because we know that Polo's VWs are sought after in Johannesburg. I mean, look at the recent VW, what is it, Campfest? You saw what happened there. I wouldn't say the same would happen for Cape Town. People here don't really steal your headlights and then run away with them. They don't really do that here. They come for the whole package. They don't take your headlights and then just move they come for the whole package. And if you are within the car, then either you're gonna leave not alive or they're gonna do something to you. That's just Cape Town. And in Cape Town, I would say owning a VW Polo GTI is much safer than owning it overseas. overseas than owning it in Johannesburg, because they are more sought after there. They want the parts more. Johannesburg, man, everything is just going fast. So I feel like in Cape Town, it's better to own it. And in other places, in Mpumalanga as well, it's better to own it because I live in Mpumalanga. I'm not sure about Durban. I've never owned it in Durban, but I had the TSI in Durban and everything was fine. So I would only say if you're in Johannesburg, yeah, watch out. You might not last with it for too long. But if you're in Cape Town, if you live in the good places in Cape Town, then you should be fine.
Would you be kind to offer me a short POV experience on the passenger seat?
BJM, oh, sure.
Is the Polo GTI the best hot hatch in its class in terms of performance and daily driving? Also, how reliable is the DSG gearbox double turbo?
Yeah, so I recently made a video regarding if the Polo GTI is the best daily performance in South Africa, and obviously it is, but I don't want to spoil that video. I have more information about that on that video. If you do want to watch it, I'll leave it in the description. But there is currently nothing in the GTI's class, well, especially the Polo GTI's class. It's just there by itself. I don't know what else to compare it to, or what else I can say someone might buy better, unless they have more money, then I can have more options to give them. But if they have 600,000 and they want a brand new GTI, when they want a brand new performance car, there's nothing else that you can give them in South Africa besides this car. Well, besides the new car, the Polo GTI, the facelift. There's literally nothing else. I mean, we can talk in circles, we can talk about that and that, but the truth is, if you had 600,000 rands right now and you wanted a car that is a performance daily, you're not getting anything better than GTI. That's just facts. And with regards to the DSG, so the trick to ODs and VWs, I'll say them both because they come from the same group. The trick between those two cars, especially if it's a DSG, just maintain it. Take it to service. Don't do anything into it. Don't tune it. Don't ECU tune. Don't add an exhaust. Don't do anything. Maintain it. Make sure it goes to service. Make sure it's maintained. You'll drive the car forever. And another annoying thing about the Polo GTI is that this is supposed to be the top of the line. Top trim, everything is supposed to be there and whatever, but with 585,000 you are still buying the base spec, like the backbone of the Polo GTI, in which case I don't think should be the case. I feel like it should come with 18s as standard. It comes with 17s, which doesn't really fit right for this car. This car really shines when the profiles are very, very low, like this ones. They're not that low, but for the size of the car, they are very, very low, and it looks good with those. It doesn't come with adaptive cruise. It doesn't come with blind spot. It doesn't come with folding mirrors. It doesn't come with a lot of stuff. And in some models, I believe there's another GTI that I saw one day that didn't have a sunroof at the top, but I think that was previous models. I'm not sure if they're still doing that. I once saw a Golf GTI that didn't have a sunroof, which is absolutely insane.
How reliable is it? How many problems did you encounter on the first day of ownership? How long have you had it? Do you ever get bored of it? How much are you spending on petrol monthly? How much are you spending on insurance?
Yo, Kaylee, that's a lot of questions, my guy. How reliable is it? From my experience, in the 2 years that I've owned the car, I haven't had any issues mechanically with it. And I'm strictly saying mechanically because the engine is still sound, it still performs as it should perform. It's still a good car to drive each and every day and to live with, etc., etc. So that is fine. So in that regard, it is reliable. Some few issues that I found out about the car is, one, the camera sometimes doesn't work. More recently than before, when I try to reverse, sometimes it won't pop up on the screen. It will just say it's taking a vacation, I don't know. Sometimes it will just be blank. So experience has to kick in and you have to reverse with your mirrors and stuff. You don't have to use the camera. So that's one. The infotainment is finicky sometimes, doesn't want to work. Sometimes it doesn't connect to Bluetooth, etc., etc. So that's a known problem for especially the 8W Polo GTIs, well, the 8W Polos. They have a lot of infotainment issues. Third thing will be, I think I've noticed more recently a lot of rattling inside the cabin, especially on the passenger side. On my side is fine, but on the passenger side, I think there's something beneath where it holds books that has been rattling recently. So I have to get that looked at. I'll look at it myself, obviously. So yeah, those are the three main things I would say the car is unreliable for. Infotainment, which counts for the camera as well. And then the rattling has started on the passenger side, but it's the thing beneath the thing. I don't know, maybe when they put the tracker, they forgot to tie everything up properly. So I have to check that and make sure that it's not a big issue. As you have found out from most of my trips, my road trips with the car is very, very loud. Now, I have a theory. My tires are almost done. So I believe that the tires need to be replaced. I don't know if I do replace them, the cabin noise inside will be a bit better or if it will stay the same. So that's one thing that I want to investigate regarding that. But this car, it's very, very loud when it comes to the road. Now I know I'm nitpicking. It's a performance car. What do I expect? Some stuff needed to, they had to remove sound dampening so that it performs and it's lightweight and it's still the perfect car. Now, my theory with that is I recently did the video with the facelift. I honestly felt like the facelift felt a bit more quiet inside compared to the previous model, the pre-facelift. I don't know what they did from the exhaust to just sitting inside the cabin. It felt even more quieter. Now, that could be subjective. I don't know, but that's what I noticed about the Polo GTI. Do I ever get bored of it? Nah, I'm sorry.
When are you uploading another road trip?
Yo, guys, the thing with road trips, okay, let me break down road trips for you guys. Since you guys like road trips so much, let me break down road trips for you guys. A road trip for me, at least on my channel, it's not just taking the car and moving. It's not that. It has to be engaging for you guys. I have to have a story. I have to know what I'm going to speak about for the entire trip. I have to have somewhere that I'm going to go. I have to have money, which is more important. And also I have to consider wear and tear of everything on the car. I do love road trips. That's the one thing that I love doing on my channel. I love road trips, but a lot of thought, money, and time needs to go into road trips. And doing that, it takes... I'm a software developer, right? If you didn't know, I'm a software developer. I have a job, actually. Unlike many other YouTubers who just decided to quit jobs and then just focus on YouTube directly. I still have a job. I still have a 9-to-5. So I have to develop software and at the same time, I have to do YouTube. And finding the time to do road trips, sometimes it's not... I can't really find it, right? And if I have to do road trips, it has to be something spectacular. The problem with me is I'm a perfectionist at heart. I have to do something stellar. If I do a road trip, it won't just be something that I'm just doing and then I'm taking a camera with me. No. I want you guys to be engaged. I want you guys to have something to talk about in the comment section. I want you guys to enjoy the video, right? So that's why for me, road trips take a bit of time. I am working on something. I don't know when I'm going to release it, but be tuned and be sure that I am going to release something. And if I release a video and it's titled Road Trip, know that it's going to be a banger. Ne? And yeah, just what I'm asking is just be patient with me. I'll get there eventually.